my father was the one who helped us to make the music, so he was here with us. He's the one who wrote our first song. It was in 1979, a song called Children Playing in the Streets back in Kingston, Jamaica.
44 years after Bob Marley's death, his son, Ziggy Marley, has finally revealed what many do not know about the reggae legend. Ziggy Marley has since broken down in tears after DNA testing revealed something he has longed to hear his whole life. It's a painful one, and the effect on him and his family could be for a lifetime. Ziggy is on the verge of calling it quits in his career, and if nothing is done quickly, he might spiral downward, and that could be the end of the road for him. This is the story of how Ziggy Marley was stunned when DNA revealed what his father had hidden for decades. The tumultuous journey to fame.
We can't mess with Bob, and we can't mess with Jamaica. I am Ziggy Marley, and this is Billboard News.
David Nesta Ziggy Marley, born on October 17, 1968, in Kingston, Jamaica, faced the harsh realities of life. Dubbed the eldest son of Bob Marley and Rita Marley, he found himself at the center of the vicissitudes of life, and exempting himself from these experiences was never possible, as he was born in the middle of them. These experiences eventually shaped his ideologies, and as he grew up, he didn't regret his past, but instead leveraged the lessons life taught him very early. Growing up in a poor neighborhood in Kingston and Wilmington, Delaware, shaped his confidence, and when others saw a life full of ups and downs, Ziggy saw a glamorous future. Even though he was found in a neighborhood where crime took center stage, Ziggy knew his assignment and consistently swerved in that direction to get a clearer view of where he was going. There in Wilmington, he enrolled in elementary school for a few years, and those years were filled with remarkable expertise that brought him before the eyes of everyone, not as a notorious child, but one whose exceptional abilities spoke volumes for themselves. Many designations marked Ziggy's transition into teenagehood, and throughout his time in elementary school, he chose a path that felt familiar. He embraced the happiness that came from playing soccer constantly, and he never demeaned his persona. Up the mountains was his favorite spot. However, no one knew that he had found an unusual place for inspiration until he began to churn out great melodies in adulthood. Ziggy distanced himself from crime from a very young age, particularly because his dad was an advocate of morality, peace, and decorum. His parents taught him the danger of swerving to the other side of the pendulum and the consequences it eventually brings to a person who decides to see for themselves. As he grew, he came to understand the importance of music to the soul, particularly because it wasn't an option in his household, but a necessity that lifted burdens when life's downsides kept showing up. Reggae music became his favorite, and as he saw his dad churn out sweet melodies, he couldn't be more grateful, focusing on the rhythm that brought healing to the soul. His dad eventually introduced him to reggae music, and from then on, he taught him to strum the guitar while also supporting it with drum lessons in the serene atmosphere of the night. Ziggy heeded his dad's lessons, and in no time, he became familiar with the whole process of making good music. In fact, he started sitting in on Wailer's recording sessions, and by the time he recognized what was happening, he was already deep in reggae. By age 10, Ziggy was already exposed to life in music, and even as a child, he knew he wasn't going back. Over time, his lessons began to pay off, and the dividends of his hard work were staring him right in the face. Fortunately, he didn't waste any time grabbing them. He knew where he belonged, and needed not to drift into error before he could find a comfortable niche. Rise to stardom.
Family and the togetherness that is in the book, that's coming from him, you know.
And how much of it's also inspired by your experience.
Ziggy's venture into professional music wasn't as easy as many thought. Even though he had the benefits of tutelage from his father, he had to push himself before the public's eyes. And when they saw that he wasn't just a reggae singer's child, they embraced him with warm hands of reception. Despite his father's backing, he had to work through the loneliness of bitter roads, an experience unlike any other. Ziggy's career officially kicked off in childhood, particularly at age 11. And from there, he began blessing the world with a unique voice that wasn't prevalent at the time. He performed with a singing group called the 7 Doobies, a perfect combination of him and his most revered classmates. Then, in the group, he was given the stage name Freddie Deek, and this branded him as a specialty. They performed well amongst their peers, so much so that whenever Ziggy was unavoidably absent, everyone knew because he was the life of the group. Even though Freddie Dick was always the life of the party, the name never stuck in the mouth of anyone, and when he noticed this, he went to do the needful. His name was ultimately changed to Ziggy, a nickname he was often called by his father, Bob Marley. This new identity inspired him so much, not because he thought he was the best, but because he wore a persona that truly reflected who he was. The name, which meant Little Spiff, was the genuine factor that made the difference. And beginning from this time, joy welled inside of him as he made known to several people what was inside of him. This was all he needed at the time, and never for once did they have any reason to question his talent. Ziggy reigned in the Seven Doobies, and after performing with them for a few years, he threw his tentacles elsewhere. He became part of the Melody Maker magazine in 1988. My name is David, but I'm a big Bowie fan. This was a good platform as well, and he never did underutilize the opportunity that came to him on a platter of gold. Every day was an opportunity to showcase what he had inside him, and he did so without any bias. Ziggy's talent was rare, and everyone who came close to him admitted he was just another reggae genius who needed more time to offload what he had in store for the reggae community and the world at large. During the late 1970s, Ziggy and his brother Stephen initiated a partnership that would later expand their exposure in many ways. They were mainly seen together at their father's larger concert grounds in Jamaica and abroad, and by the time everyone knew what was happening, their combo was undeniable. In 1978 precisely, the duo appeared on stage at the One Love Peace concert in Kingston, and many couldn't believe the melodious chemistry that came from their vocal cavities. The following year, they appeared at Reggae Sunsplash in Montego Bay, and viewers couldn't appreciate the energy they brought on stage that day. Moment by moment, Ziggy began to write his own music history, and because he was a boy filled with zeal and focus, he feared nothing but walked in confidence, knowing he had what it took to become the next big thing. He invested so much in his talent that it was impossible for him not to be before the eyes of those who recorded his flawless moves. Fame to glory.
We have a direct communication with them now, and we've always been a touring, alive.
Ziggy's pinnacle of success in the reggae industry didn't become clear until he had reached a particular milestone. In 1979, Ziggy and his siblings, Sharon, Sadella, and Stephen, formed the Melody Makers, and from there they began to rewrite the narratives that had been poorly spoken of in the reggae industry. They brought life to their blend of natural voices, and with Ziggy at the center, it never ceased to wow audiences and listeners. Their debut single, Children Playing in the Streets, topped the charts, and the reggae community never turned its back on it. Even though their father wrote the track, the energy they brought was powerful enough to shape listeners' hearts. All royalties for the single were pledged to the United Nations to aid its efforts during the International Year of the Child. Ziggy continued his musical struggles with the Melody Makers afterward, but this time shaping nations through words and melodies. Their debut performance was met with a great reception. Fortunately, they performed on the same bill as their father for the first and only time at the Roots Rock Reggae 2-day concert series in Kingston's National Arena. Subsequently, the Melody Makers released their second single, What a Plot, under the family record label Tough Gong. Ziggy was young, yet he knew how to draw attention with his melodious voice, and anytime he did, it was just another banger. Eventually, the Melody Makers recorded and released an album, reaffirming their status as the best group at the time. Shortly after Ziggy's father took a bow in 1981 from the earth after an ailment that wrecked him and left him with no choice but to lose the battle, this had a toll on the young reggae singer who constantly drew inspiration from his dad. However, when he saw that he needed to let go of the past, he encouraged himself and kept moving. Ziggy eventually took his father's place and began performing in his stead alongside the Wailers at various shows that needed his attention across Jamaica. In 1984, the group went on tour in support of the year's Bob Marley Legend compilation album release. And even though he was still partly with the Melody Makers, he gave his all to every project that came his way. By 1985, the Melody Makers released their first album, Play the Game, marking their significance in the reggae community of yesteryear. Their 1998 album, Conscious Party, was also a hit, and went on to receive a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. Though Ziggy was giving all his energy to his craft, there was still something he yearned for that wasn't before his eyes at the time. After several tours, releases, and performances with the Melody Makers, Ziggy launched a solo career. This became a turning point in his life, and as he bridged the gap between reality and culture, his name was echoed within and outside the realms of reggae music. Ziggy subsequently became his own voice, not one who rode on the wings of his father's legacy. In April 2003, he released his debut album, Dragonfly, and with it, he etched his name in the hearts of reggae music lovers. Every song on the album had a message, and nobody dared deny that its impact grew beyond borders. The single True to Myself topped the reggae charts for months, and this wasn't a surprise, as the album was a true reflection of reggae and a blend of other genres. Ziggy continued to churn out good music with each new day, making him formidable to a great degree. He never failed to leverage his rare talent, and each time he did, he was always the next newsflash. In January 2006, Ziggy released his second solo album, Love Is My Religion, and with this album, he was already in everyone's eyes. Nothing could stop his shine, and with his independent record label, Tough Gong Worldwide, he earned himself special recognition so glaring that even a blind man could see. The album eventually won a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album, and this wasn't the result of bias or prejudice. He deserved every bit of it. Ziggy kept going on 4 cylinders, and because a well of greatness welled up inside him, he kept giving the world unforgettable works. Ziggy eventually got himself an opportunity to perform a duet with Donna Summer for her 2008 album, Crayons. And just as everyone envisaged, he mesmerized the crowd without any room for lapses. At this point, Ziggy was the life of reggae music, and even though he consistently advocated reality through his music, he didn't feel the need to stray from it. Just when everyone thought that Ziggy had nothing more to offer, he blessed the speakers of reggae music with yet another album. His album Family Time wasn't just an average album, but one that reflected his years of investment in reggae music. With siblings Rita Marley, Cedella Marley, and Jowda Marley, they carved a niche with their music, bringing to the fore synergies rarely seen at the time in the reggae community. The album eventually won a Grammy Award for Best Musical Album for Children, creating a timeless impact in the music space that will indeed span the next decade of his life. Ziggy's pace in music was second to none, and from his red eyes, one could tell he was not going to stop anytime soon. Several of his albums had a timeless impact at the time, and have not failed to live up to those standards in recent times. His name was echoed by all and sundry, so much so that his contemporaries lost their voice every time they came around him. Finally, the hard work of yesteryears paid off, and with every album, he etched his name in the fabric of time. Life was so good for Ziggy that all he cared about was making good music, and good music did he give without mincing words. Father and son's relationship.
Kevin came in late in the process.
Steve Bing first? Or?
Yeah, Steve Bing is a producer.
Growing up, Ziggy didn't have to navigate life on his own. His father, Bob Marley, played a phenomenal role in shaping who he is today. He lived by his father's instructions, and as time went on, he became his father's favorite son. They performed together at various events, eventually strengthening the bond that existed between them. Bob taught his son everything he knew, and beyond the walls of the music space, he showed him life principles applicable anywhere. As time went on, their relationship skyrocketed to the point where Bob never made any move without bringing him into his counsel. They toured cities, rehearsed, and performed together, and, for the very first time, it became clear that he would live up to his father's legacy. Ziggy, the eldest son of his dad, followed him everywhere, enjoying a bond his younger siblings never had the chance to experience, as nature took its course. Over time, Ziggy was nicknamed Bob's favorite child, particularly because he played a vital role in his dad's career, which his father greatly appreciated. His mom never got involved in their affairs. Instead, she gave Zig ample time with Dad, who knew everything was going to end so soon. With the way things went between the duo, it would be unusual for Bob not to share certain secrets that had not been told to anyone else. Ziggy was 11 when his father died, and his last words to him showed that he loved him to death. Reports have it that those words held a special place in Ziggy's heart, and even after many years, he still cherishes everything his father said. Those words were, "On your way up, take me up, and on your way down, don't let me down." Ziggy recalled one time in an interview what those words did to him and how they helped guide his career on the right path. Speaking to People, he said, "A father-son relationship is intense, and it's a spiritual thing also. We share a sure spiritual foundation with my father, myself, my brothers, and my sisters. So that word means exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm doing. It just means that I don't have to think about it, really, because I was doing it anyway. It is safe to say that the duo's relationship was the strongest and purest among those in the family at the time. It echoed beyond words. Every heartbeat, every eye contact spoke volumes of the bond they shared. Unfortunately for Ziggy, it didn't last long enough for him to see how far they would have gone. Nevertheless, he held his dad in high esteem. He has always stated that his father remains his role model, and even though he was not living under his father's shadow, he can't dispute that his father made him who he has become in recent years. The lessons, the rehearsals, and the inspiring words all played a significant role in shaping his career into the visible, glamorous feats he has achieved. His story would never be complete without his father, Bob Marley, but after many years, Ziggy met the shocker of his life. This revelation broke him completely, leaving him with baggage that he would have to live with, even into his old age. Several thoughts have been running through his mind, and I hope he eventually creates a space in his heart to endure the aftermath. Otherwise, the young reggae singer might be on a suicide mission. Shocking revelations.
Cannabis is used for spiritual, religious reasons. So,
looking back, one can't imagine there would be a flaw between Ziggy and his late father, Bob Marley. However, in recent times, reality hit hard like a tsunami. Ziggy was very tender when his father died. Nevertheless, they shared something that was beyond what words could express. As he grew, he reminisced about everything his father had told him, leaving no one behind who could dent what he was trying to build. Reports have it that, occasionally, Zig revisits his jotter, where he wrote down things his father told him in the little time they spent together, so that he could execute every one of them without a mistake. Ziggy flourished amicably, so much so that he was referred to as one who carried on his father's legacy. However, over time, certain rumors began to swirl around that he didn't understand. It started as a joke, but just when he thought he was free from it came the revelation that ratified everything. Remember that before now, Ziggy had always boasted that he was the eldest son of Marley, and because of that, he enjoyed a handful of what his father left behind. However, when this rumor started circulating on the internet, it claimed that there was an eldest son somewhere that Ziggy wasn't aware of. This seemed like a joke for many years, but now that evidence has clarified all doubts. A DNA test is the lifesaver, and Ziggy is truly in hot water now, as he risks forfeiting everything he possesses. 46 years after Bob Marley's death, a man identified as Fabian has come forward with clear-cut evidence that he is Bob Marley's eldest son. At first, it sounded like a joke, until the evidence came to light. This evidence was left without mistakes, making it impossible for anyone to tell he was wrong. It was just the other day that the wannabe singer Fabian Marley produced a positive DNA test to back up his claims. To prove the authenticity of his claims, the University of the West Indies compared Fabian's DNA with that of the legendary artist and judged them a match, Fabian's rep told the National Enquirer. The story wasn't anything pleasant to hear, as Fabian claimed his mother, Raffi Monroe, gave birth to him on July 27, 1968, and listed his surname as Marley on his birth certificate. In an interview with the Jamaican press, he said, "I am the first son of Bob Marley. Ziggy and I were born the same year, but of different mothers. I was born a few months before him." This was a heartbreaking exposition and a hard pill to swallow, because the damage inflicted on Ziggy would far exceed his expectations. However, Fabian's exposition was initially met with stiff opposition until the truth was confirmed to him. In his words, he said, "I think Fabian might have some kind of mental issues. He definitely is not my half-brother. My father introduced me to all my brothers, whether by my mother or not," says Ziggy. He would never hide his sons. Never. Come to think of it, why would he hide anything from him when the bond he had with his father was unbreakable at the time? This was his contemplation. Nevertheless, his denial of a real fact didn't change anything, as Fabian insisted that the reggae singer do his research to prove that his evidence was false. They went back and forth on this matter. With the breaking of a new day, it became more complicated because the reggae singer had unwavering support from his siblings, and they were not going to let a stranger intrude into the family lineage, as he was making false claims with no authenticity. Fabian, on the other hand, continued to push for confirmation because he wanted the rights of the eldest son, a position Ziggy and his siblings believed he didn't deserve. However, after the matter became public, the public persuaded Ziggy to clear his name. Though it was hard for him to do, under too much pressure, even from his fans, he obliged their demand. Ziggy took every one of Fabian's claims to an experienced doctor, hoping to clear his name. He was confident that his father would keep such a sensitive detail from him, even after spending ample time with him while he was still here. Nevertheless, he was brought to his knees when his confidence shattered into pieces, his ego deflated, and everything he boasted about before now was taken away from him so quickly. The results showed that Fabian truly was Bob Marley's son. However, they didn't conclusively reveal that his age was precisely what he had claimed in his former claims. Ziggy, upon hearing this, was struck to the heart, yet he managed to maintain his composure until all these claims were confirmed. He went on to conduct several tests afterward to determine whether he was truly the first soul as Fabian claimed. Finally, after making several inquiries, it was determined that not only was Fabian Bob's son, but he was also older than Ziggy. For the umpteenth time, Ziggy broke down in tears, citing the level of betrayal his dad inflicted on everyone, including him. For many years, his father hid this from him, and the young reggae singer paraded himself as the first son, only to find out decades later that he wasn't. Well, even though his research was accurate, Ziggy isn't going to let everything in his possession slide away from him without putting up a fight. Reports have it that his other siblings are truly in support of his intended actions. According to their statements, Fabian was not just a stranger, but an intruder bent on destabilizing the peace of their homes. The coming days will reveal a whole lot, and who finally has possession of the father's properties as the first son is something no one could predict at the moment. Ziggy and his siblings have since mapped out a strategy to address this, and, according to reliable sources, they have secretly hired legal counsel to guide them through the process of authenticating their claims. Why did Bob, Ziggy's father, decide to hide this vital detail from him, knowing fully well that he had other siblings elsewhere? This question will be answered in the coming days, but for now, let's take a sneak peek into the personal life of Ziggy Marley. Personal life and early background.
And it's seamless. People can still groove to it, so I think we accomplished what we were trying to do with the record.
What feedback did you get for the album so far from the fans?
Well, you see the feedback, this is what we see. People enjoy the music, and that is our purpose. People enjoy the music and them get something for their minds also. This is the purpose, it's a balance.
Ziggy's childhood wasn't a fluke. His early days were marked by several factors, including his parents' strict adherence to rules. Growing up, he had access to formal education, and this instilled in him the kind of fear that sponsored his staying away from crime, despite coming from an impoverished neighborhood. Ziggy, according to the Marleys' website, is the eldest son of Bob and Rita Marley, and his siblings are Stephen Marley, Julian Marley, Kai Mani Marley, Robert Robbie Marley, Rohan Marley, Damian Marley, Sharon Marley, Sadella Marley, Karen Marley, Stephanie Marley, and Sarita Stewart. He is married to Orly Agay, an Israeli of Iranian Jewish descent who is a former vice president of the William Morris Agency. Since he chose the path of marriage, Ziggy has been blessed with 4 children, 1 daughter and 3 sons. It has also been reported that Ziggy has 3 children from his previous relationships, bringing his total to 7. Despite having a niche in reggae music, Ziggy has actively expressed political views in recent decades and has no intention of stopping anytime soon. In October 2023, amidst the Gaza war, Ziggy Marley, along with 700 notable Hollywood figures, signed an open letter written by the Creative Community for Peace, CCFP, in support of Israel. He has also been part of several philanthropic activities, touching lives daily, just like his father taught him while growing up. In 2007, Ziggy Marley became an official supporter of Little Kid Rocks, a non-profit organization that provides free musical instruments and lessons to children in public schools throughout the United States. He has visited with children in the program and sits on the organization's board of directors as an honorary member. Ziggy has continued to touch lives, not only with his music, but also through several philanthropic works that have set the pace for the upcoming generation. In 2021, the reggae singer recorded an acoustic version of his song Shalom Salam from his 2000 album Dragonfly, alongside the Jerusalem Youth Chorus, to raise awareness and promote peaceful environments between the Israeli and Palestinian communities. The chorus empowers youth from East and West Jerusalem with the responsibility to speak and sing their truths, offering them a sacred space to raise their voices and share their lived experiences. Through music, they learn to carry the weight of their stories with courage, transforming personal testimony into a collective call for healing. As they grow into leaders within their communities, they inspire singers and listeners around the world to work for peace, justice, inclusion, and equality, reminding us that harmony is not just a sound, but a way of life. And in the world of reggae, it is rare to encounter an artist like Ziggy Marley. His presence carries the legacy of a movement spanning generations, yet he continues to carve his own path with authenticity, conviction, and an unwavering heart. Ziggy stands as a bridge between the roots of the past and the rhythms of the future, and to be honest, he will remain a powerful force in the reggae music space for a long time. His music message and mission continue to uplift, challenge, and inspire fans across the globe. Do you think that the DNA accurately shows that Ziggy isn't the eldest son of Bob Marley? And what are your reasons for this assertion? Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as there are lots of amazing videos waiting for you.